Ndị be anyị na Bọlachi, anyị sị ka ọ dịrị unu na mma, anyị sị ka nke onye chikwelu ya zelu. Dịka o si dị, ya bụ Igbo Media ka anyị si bịa na uhuruchi nketa iwetara unu ya bụ ozi gbasara maka ihe na-eme na the Old Eastern Region. Dịka unu anụ ka o si ada, nwanne anyị nwoke wetara anyị ozi n'elu akwụkwọ. As you quote, Tinubu's government in shock as UK government unveils their stand on Kenya ruling on Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Hear the news in details. All right, according to updated Makia Webia, no possibility nketa ni na Eastern News 24. One night one of the veteran activists unveiled the UK stand concerning the recent Kenya ruling maka Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So ya bifaka wetere ndikuni yege ya bifaka biko kabaru keli yatia. All right, over to you, sir.
So, guys, Nnamdi Kanu's victory and release this particular month is 100% assured. Now, meanwhile, let us talk about UK's stance on this new judgment that the Kenyan court actually gave, ordering and telling the Nigerian government and the Kenyan government that you people broke international laws through Nnamdi Kanu's unlawful extraordinary rendition. Now, many people have been asking, what is UK's stance? Because Nnamdi Kanu is a British citizen, and they're asking, what is the UK doing about this entire issue? Ahead of Nnamdi Kanu's victory that will come up on the 18th of July this month, being 2025. Now, I'm going to break it down for you, and I'm going to explain to you everything. Now, let us start from the beginning, what the UK Parliament has actually done or probably said about this entire Nnamdi Kanu's case. Now, remember, when Nnamdi Kanu was arrested in 2021, the first thing that happened when the UK government was actually contacted and consulted, and they told him, see, that the Nigerian government illegally abducted one of your citizens, and the UK government immediately ordered for what we call a meeting or probably a session to actually look into the matter. And when they gathered, they said something. So the UK Parliament said something through Lord Tariq Ahmad, who was the Minister of State for Commonwealth. And when he was addressing Kanu's case in the House of Lords, he said that the UK, first of all, demanded that Nigeria explain how Nnamdi Kanu was repatriated, focusing on the role of Kenya and the circumstances that is surrounding his transfer from Kenya to Nigeria. Then Lord Atton of Liverpool, raised concerns about Kenya's alleged involvement and whether the British High Commission in Abuja was assisting Kanu. Now, the first argument, or probably the first thing that the UK Parliament did, was to raise that we want to first of all know, before we delve, or probably before we can carry out any action, we want to know if his arrest or probably his rendition from Kenya was lawful or unlawful. That is the first thing they said. They said we are not going to do anything. Yes, we know that Kanu is our citizen, but first of all, let us first of all allow investigations to be done. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this for you is, what is the UK now doing? Now, when the Court of Appeal in Abuja gave the judgment that his extraordinary rendition was illegal and it was unlawful and ordered for Nnamdi Kanu to be released, Justice Hanatu from Plateau State, she was the person that ordered that. Now, the UK Parliament, kept short because they wanted to hear from both sides of the country, that is from Nigeria and from Kenya, before they can establish a fact that Kanu's extraordinary rendition is illegal and it is unlawful, before they can, presume to take an action against Nigeria and all that. Now, after the appeal court in Abuja gave that judgment, the UK Parliament did not say anything about that particular judgment. Now, recently, the Kenyan government or the Kenyan court has ruled that is the place where Nnamdi Kanu was, repatriated from, or probably illegally abducted and probably kidnapped, has ruled and given a judgment in favor of Nnamdi Kanu. And this seals and seals the whole argument or the whole suspicion that the UK Parliament was having about Nnamdi Kanu's rendition from Kenya. This has actually established the fact that this particular man was illegally abducted, and this broke international laws and international processes and all that. It has established that particular fact. Now, many people are asking, what is now the UK government? What is the UK government going to do about their own citizen that is illegally rendition and abducted and kept in DSS dungeon in the country? So many people are asking, are they going to write to James Omotosho, or probably what are they going to do? Are they going to pressure James Omotosho the same way other groups have been telling James and the federal government to release him as Nnamdi Kanu, because he cannot continue trying something on illegality. He cannot continue trying something illegally. So many people are asking, is it what the UK Parliament is going to say? But meanwhile, let us even check what the UK Parliament has actually done for Nnamdi Kanu since he was arrested in 2021. There is only one thing that the UK government has actually done for this particular man, being Nnamdi Kanu, and they said that they are providing what they called consular support. And what is this consular support? That the British High Commissioner, via their spokesperson Dean Hollock, as of then, referenced the UK's consular guidelines, stating that while consular support, example, which is information on prison conditions, visits, or raising concerns about aid treatment, could be provided. They are saying that, the only thing they can do for Nnamdi Kanu, since he was arrested, is to provide a consular support, which involves, investigating if he's been, maltreated in prison, or probably getting some information on the prison condition and visiting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu in DSS dungeon. That is the only thing that they can actually do for Nnamdi Kanu, when he was arrested in 2021. Because it was assumed that then they are still investigating if his arrest was illegal, if his extraordinary rendition from Kenya was illegal or unlawful. Now that it has been established, even in heaven and on earth, in Kenya and both in Nigeria, in both jurisdictions, the court in both jurisdictions have established that his extraordinary rendition is illegal, that his extraordinary rendition broke international laws, his extraordinary rendition is unlawful. Now, what is the UK government going to do ahead of 18th of July 2025 that James Omotosho is going to give a decisive judgment about this particular Nnamdi Kanu's case? What is the UK government going to do? Because this is no longer time to say you want to establish a fact already. It is now an established fact that this particular man was in a rendition unlawfully, and he is your citizen. What does the UK government? We are going to see what the UK government's law says about illegal and unlawful rendition of their citizens from one country to another. We are going to dissect everything here, because this is going to help us to understand if the UK government should actually get involved, or probably they are playing politics with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is one of their own, or who is one of who has a British citizenship. Even because of the way the UK Parliament and the UK government have been so slow with this Nnamdi Kanu's case and all that, this made Nnamdi Kanu's brother to be angry, and they said that Kanu's brother, whose name is Kingsley Kanu, and supporters of Nnamdi Kanu, have criticized the UK government for its limited response, accusing it of, being the UK government, accusing it of failing to protect a British citizen. They said that in February this year, 2025, that Kingsley urged the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is the newly elected Prime Minister of UK, to take strong action, noting that despite the Nigerian Supreme Court's, Supreme Court December 2023 ruling affirming Kanu's rendition, the UK had not altered its stance. Kanu's brother, being Kingsley Kanu, was angry. This is not how you people treat your own British citizen. He made this particular statement earlier this year, referencing how the Supreme Court actually, held that Kanu's rendition was unlawful. Now that the Kenyan, that's why I said probably they were waiting for the Kenyan side or the Kenyan court to rule that his extraordinary rendition was unlawful, so that they can say, okay, fine, you've now confirmed authentically that this rendition was unlawful. Now the Kenyan court, as a country, has ruled and even awarded 10 million naira in damage, in 10 million Kenyan shilling, which is approximately 120 million naira in damages to be paid to Nnamdi Kanu. So now it is a globally established fact that the Nigerian government broke laws with in collaboration with the Kenyan government. So the UK Parliament, who said that the first thing that they want to establish is to know how he was renditioned. Now you've known what is your next line of action. What is your next line of action? Let us check what the UK government, as a matter of fact, says or speaks about illegal and unlawful rendition. As you can see on the screen, that the UK government publicly opposes unlawful rendition, which involves the extrajudicial transfer of a person from one country to another, often without due legal process, and typically in violation of international human rights law. The UK stance is shaped by its commitment under international treaties, such as the European Convention on Human Rights, ECHR, the UN Convention Against Torture, UNCAT, and customary international law, which prohibits arbitrary detention, torture, and violation of due process, which is exactly the same thing that the Nigerian government did. You renditioned him, you tortured him, and did a lot of things to him. That is why even the UN recommendation said you people should pay reparations for damages for violating of Nnamdi Kanu's, fundamental human rights. So if the UK laws and stance, is against unlawful detention, now that it has been established and written in bold words and in both hands that his extraordinary rendition was illegal, will UK, activate their own law or stance which is against the extraordinary rendition, which is against unlawful rendition of its citizen, by at least pressuring the Nigerian government to, free this particular man, because the more you go ahead with trying him, you are trying something on illegality. You cannot build on illegality. You cannot build on illegality, which is basically and literally the truth. Now, this is another official position of the UK on illegal rendition. They said that the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, being FCDO, has stated that it does not support or participate in extraordinary rendition. In a 2008 report, the UK Foreign Affairs Committee condemned extraordinary rendition as completely unacceptable. This is what the UK is saying, that it is completely unacceptable, and emphasized that the UK must not facilitate or condone such practices. And this is basically the truth. In your own constitution, in your own law, you say people will not facilitate or condone. So you keeping short to something that is glaring obvious that this is an illegal rendition means you are facilitating it, and this has to do with your own citizen, for crying out loud. This has to do with your own citizen. So you cannot tell me that silence is good in here. No, silence means you are indirectly supporting the extraordinary rendition which you spoke and vowed to work against in your constitution. You could hear it here, that the UK Foreign Affairs Committee condemned extraordinary rendition as completely unacceptable and emphasized that the UK must not facilitate or condone such practices. He said that the government has also committed to investigating credible allegations of rendition involving UK territory or personnel. That the UK government is obliged by their constitution to investigate allegations of rendition that involve their UK territory and personnel. Nnamdi Kanu is a personnel or a citizen of the UK. So they are obliged by their own constitution to investigate this particular matter. There is nothing else to investigate, because the investigation has been done by both countries. If Nigeria, the Supreme Court has said, okay, sorry, we broke your international laws, the Kenyan government has said, yes, we broke the same law, it means it is now a full-time established fact, which is what I've been saying. So it is not left for the UK government to activate what is written in their constitution, that they will not condone or facilitate. They will not condone means they will not keep short in the face of iniquities or probably unlawful activities like unlawful rendition like this, that they must speak out and take decisive actions and decisions. And this is what a lot of people have been calling on the youth.
Ngwano, dalo nini no umunnem likun sinesera ni Igbo media. Gini kunu were ikwu na nkawa nke unu. Gbasta maka ihe nọ n'iru akwụkwọ n'ụbọchị uhuruchi nke taa. Gwa ya ife iche n'ụdị nke gị. Deela ya n'akara kọmentị ka mara ihe i chere. Ma chetakwa tụsa ya bụ ozi ka o were tụ ụmụnne anyị ndị ọzọ ntị. Ndewo na ụmụnne m, ka emesịa nụ.